Yesterday, I was unemployed. And today, well, I'm still unemployed. But I'm here. Hey guys, so following on from the last video, I know I promised an update video for my next one, but this story is just too good to tell, so I'm just gonna do it. It's coming soon. I promise. I promise. So this follows right after the last video, so I was on a high from that crazy adventure, and I just wanted to keep that momentum going, you know? My visa in Canada just expired. All my attempts to stay in the country and make a life here failed. And I was staying in the country on this thing called implied status, which is this weird gray area where you're allowed to rest on the previous conditions of your visa, but you're not allowed to leave the country without throwing away these rights. There's no official proof of you being on this implied status. And when that period runs out, you get a letter which tells you you have to leave the country immediately. Immediately. I was on this implied status to buy time while I figured out my next move, and I was intending to work, but because of how late I got my next job offer, I wasn't able to get paid. I felt like I was wasting my time here in a depressing, frigid cold Montreal for no reason, and I felt trapped. I was still on a high from my last adventure being a stranger's wedding date in Ontario, and I just needed to get out of here. I talked to my lawyer to see if I'd be allowed to leave the country, throw away my implied status, and then re-enter on a tourist visa with just a one-way ticket into the country. And he said yes. Alright. I know this is gonna be sketch as hell, but let's go. This is what the travel bug does to you guys. It makes you do really stupid shit. So I really wanted to go traveling in March, but I didn't know where. Somewhere in Central South America. And I was posting these intentions pretty publicly on my Insta stories, and a friend of mine who I met while she was on exchange in Sydney messaged me saying, hey, come with me to Costa Rica. And I'm like, okay. And then another friend told me she was going to Mexico City in mid-March, and I'm like, hey, maybe I can chain these two things together. But then I started looking into it, and it looked really expensive for the region. It looked really touristy, so I didn't think I would enjoy it. So I started looking at other options, nearby countries. Nicaragua. No. From the internet, it looked way too dangerous as they were just recovering from a civil war. It actually is quite safe these days, according to people I met. El Salvador, Honduras, same thing. And then I found this country called Guatemala. It looked absolutely beautiful. There was just something about this place. I had to go. So then my friend pulled out because she wanted to go to Cuba afterwards. I've already been to Cuba in 2014, and a flight from Guatemala to Cuba cost almost as much as my 3 one-way flights, Montreal, Guatemala City, Mexico City, Montreal combined. Which is fair enough. Fair enough, I would say. When she pulled out though, I was like, oh, I don't think I can go on this trip anymore. I've traveled alone plenty of times before, but she could speak Spanish, and I was kind of going to rely on her to get me through the country. And I've always kind of seen Central South America as kind of level 2 in terms of difficulty of solo travel, of traveling, I guess, compared to Europe. As soon as she pulled out, especially because of the language barrier, I was really, really hesitant. I didn't think I was going to go traveling in March anymore. I was super down and annoyed, especially because at that point, March 3rd, my heart was just set on Guatemala, you know? So I sat there, travel bug burning a hole through my soul, but resigned to the fact that this trip just wasn't gonna happen. I was flicking through my Insta stories, and I saw the story of a travel friend of mine that I met in Cappadocia in the middle of Turkey 5 years ago. And he just arrived in Guatemala. And I'm like, dude, I was just thinking about going there. And he responded, mate, come. And I responded, I'd love to, but I think a last minute flight would be way too expensive at this point. And then I looked it up. And it wasn't. I feel like this is a recurring theme in my life. It didn't matter at all how far in advance I booked this flight or how last minute I booked it. It was the same price. I responded, dude, I could come tomorrow? This was crazy. My heart was pounding. I spent the next day in Montreal thinking about nothing but this trip, looking up every variable, looking for something, anything that says I shouldn't do this. I looked how expensive it was. It was super cheap. I projected all my finances to see if I could still afford to make the move to Europe. It was tight, but I could. I looked at every single travel safety advisory I could find. Australia, UK, Canada, US, New Zealand. What I found from that was just the US is super paranoid about everything. They label all these countries as like high risk, but think their own one is safe. I mean, I checked the weather. The weather every single day that I would be in Guatemala and every single day that I would be in Mexico was perfect blue skies. I looked outside to a frigid cold, pressing Montreal. I was in a conflict where anything and everything in my heart was saying yes, and my mind was just telling me, you're gonna get lost and robbed and die. I'd never been to Central/South America before, but after hours of indecision, I was just like, F it. I went to buy the ticket. That's where I hit my first hurdle. As I was traveling through the US to get to Guatemala, I needed a valid ESTA visa, and my 2-year one had just expired the month before. Normally this isn't an issue at all, as it's all done online, costs $14, and is instantaneous to get. But in December 2018, they changed the rules, so now it takes up to 72 hours to get approved. Thanks, America, making your process deliberately less efficient. So now I was stuck not being able to buy my flight because of a bunch of stupid rules about a country I was just transiting through. I bought the ESTA at about 7:30 p.m, but I thought I had at least about 2 days before the thing got approved. So I chilled out, did some laundry out of these 2 days, taking it easy, but also repeatedly refreshing the ESTA page in frustration. I thought it would take 2 days. Then it got approved in 95 minutes. Well, guess this is happening then, eh? I kind of just separated my mind from my body at this point and just watched myself make a bunch of clicks on a mouse which would change my life. $334 down. $174 down. What am I doing? $222.
All right, so update. So I just booked the flight. I leave in a little over 13 hours.
I'm going to Guatemala and to Mexico. Booked it 13 hours and 19 minutes in advance. Motherfucking fuck.
This is like the most last minute flight I've ever done in my life. It's international and wow. Oh my god. My Spanish no hablas español. Is it yo? Yo no hablas. Oh, this is gonna be disastrous. I have travel insurance though, so I'm insured. I'm insured there. I'm not insured here, so that's something. I hope I don't get robbed.
With just a few of these clicks, my life went from 0 to 100 real quick. I stayed up until 4 a.m. packing, slept for 3 hours, and then took the bus to Montreal airport.
So I made it to the airport. I'm actually not running late this time because I arrived 2.5 hours early. What the f?
No last minute rush this time, at least on this leg.
Got my passport. Got my boarding passes. I have breached past the point of no return. I'm gonna go do this and I'm freaking out. I don't know what's gonna happen. Let's see what happens.
My flight to Guatemala is Montreal to NYC, NYC to Atlanta, Atlanta to Guatemala City, with a 41-minute layover in Atlanta. That's tight. I'm gonna be rushing through the airport, but I think I can do this. It's fine. I've done it before. As long as everything runs on time. After a chill layover in LaGuardia, I boarded the plane to Atlanta, got seated, saw some weird stuff, as you do in America. The pilot came on the mic saying, hey, we're actually going ahead of schedule, so all of you guys should be able to make your connections. And then we got held up because I swear I am not making this up. Some idiot tried to flush a water bottle down the toilet and then block the toilet. And then they had to bring in plumbers to unblock the toilets in the back of the plane. And then that created such a mess that they had to bring in cleaners to clean up the mess. We were stuck on the tarmac for an extra 20 minutes. Okay. All good. That's cool. So we took off and got some amazing views of Manhattan. Window seat. Always pick the window seat. about halfway through the flight, and then the pilot gets on the loudspeaker again to apologize for the delay, saying all of you guys should be able to make your connections. The only ones that'll be really tight are Baltimore and Guatemala. And I'm just like, I was 100% sure I was literally the only person on that plane going to Guatemala. And I just made sure to project my frustration and stress wide enough so that everyone around me knew that I had to get off that plane first.
T6. Our arrival gate is going to be T2. So the Guatemala flight will be fine. In Birmingham, you should make that without a problem as well. Everybody else has over 30 minutes to make their connection while it is tight. I recommend you with a tight connection to go straight to the gate. Everybody should make their connections this evening.
As we were coming into land, I was endlessly staring at the flight screen, seeing the arrival time, and it was just getting later and later and later. 20-minute window, 17 minutes, 15 minutes, 14 minutes. To the point where we had about a 10-minute layover. 10 minutes. And that's to land, not to disembark the plane. Have you ever had a layover that's 10 minutes? I am stressing out right now. I think I might actually miss this flight. As soon as we touched down, I got up and I was ready to run. I've never run faster in my entire life.
Thank you. Thank you. You should make it. Thank you. Just go straight there. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Good luck. Thank you.
Excuse me. Where is...
Baggage trim is straight down past T8 and the restrooms on the left.
do you know where Guatemala is? Like
Guatemala, I know, is at T6.
T6, thank you.
Yeah.
Guatemala?
ALA working gate, T6 from gate. Here, put this back here, hold on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh shit. Made it.
Yeah, you made it. You're okay.
Yeah. Anyone else?
31 at the window on the left-hand side towards the back.
Thanks.
I cannot believe I made that flight. I'm actually going to Guatemala. Arrived at my hostel, which is right next to the airport, which is kind of a sketch area. Security is so high at this hostel that you're actually locked into the hostel at night, and to leave you actually have to ask someone to unlock the door and let you out. It's like a prison. The two things that everyone told me about Guatemala was A, don't stay in Guatemala City. I'm in Guatemala City. And B, don't go out at night. First thing I do, 11:30 p.m. is
Meeting with a complete stranger. Hey. Ciao? Ciao? Lashan.
Lashan.
Yeah.
Nice name. It's really, really close to the airport.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
This
So
is nuts.
I know.
What the hell?
Yeah, I'm addicted to summer. July and UV by the seas where you'll find her. The negative news of my newsfeed behind her. 'Cause girl, I'm addicted to summer.
Thank you for watching this video. Like it if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the future, because I love telling travel stories, and if you want more, I have plenty more to tell. I'll see you in the next video, which is coming soon. I promise, because as you know, we all have a lot more time on our hands right now, thanks to a situation that will not be named. Lashan out.